attitude. Attitude is very important to me, whether it's mine or yours. Please include myself and my family as a vital part of your decision-making team. I attend, and in fact I co-facilitate an early stage support group, and these people understand me like nobody else can, not even my family. It's wonderful. And finally, see the possibilities available to me and try to see more than just my illness. I'm still Norma. My life needs to be richer than the sum of my mistakes.
I think there's a lot of fallacies that we have about people's lives with dementia. A lot of what we think of ourselves is lost during the journey. But there's a lot of stuff that you can recreate or do a different way or look for assistance in ways of rebuilding your life into other ways. So I think it's important to get the voice out. Over these 6 years, it's really been an eye-opener for me in that we're hearing stories all the time about things that people can do against all the stories that we've heard about not being able to do it with assistance, as Norma talked about. There is much more that we can do, and we shouldn't be limited in terms of our expectations and where we can go with our dreams still.
My dad was diagnosed back in the early 80s, so this was quite a while ago before we knew what we know now about Alzheimer's disease and dementias. When he lived at home with my mom was the primary caregiver for about 12 of those years, 12, 13 years, and then we had to put him into facility care, and that was a very eye-opening experience for us. And I think for my mother, the biggest frustration was that she wasn't being heard. It was like all of a sudden this person that she'd been taking care of for years was sort of taken away from her, and now she was put in the position of a visitor. And we were told, oh, it's the medication he's on, and that was new news to us, that somebody had decided to put him on medication. That was never talked about with us. My sister's a nurse, I have a medical background, like we were shocked that was even allowed, really. And so when we said, well, just a minute here, we want to have some input into this, into the type of medication you're putting him on, why are you doing it? And there wasn't really room for conversation, and that was really frustrating. It was like somebody that you love, you've watched over all these years, and suddenly your responsibility is stopped, like cold turkey. This journey of dementia, there are so many losses in it, and I think the biggest loss is the loss of your voice, whether you are a person with the disease or you're a caregiver for a person with the disease. And when you lose your voice, you really have a sense of loss of control. I know my mom, she pledged a vow to my dad to take care of him in sickness and in health. And to have an outside party come in and say, well, we're doing that now. I mean, my mom lived with so much guilt as it was. And when that happened, the guilt became even worse. And I think it's important for people within the system, the healthcare system, to understand that voice is such a key part to who we are as individuals. And the disease is already robbing us of this voice. Surely the system shouldn't be doing that as well.
We've talked about the stigma is huge in this disease. It's a huge obstacle, and we need to work to end it. And we need help from government, we need help from the Alzheimer Society, from medical personnel, just to name a few. One person in my support group, when I asked her about what she thought about how we could end stigma, she says, you have to operate as if there is no stigma. Tell everybody you meet about the disease. Just talk about it. Just keep verbalizing.